I love Drop Zone. I love Drop Fleet. I love the universe, and I love Dave. Dave's just like he's so passionate about it all. Like
This episode of Getting Tabled is brought to you by Valhalla. Use code TABLE to get 5% off any order over $100, one use only. Please consider becoming a patron. $2 a month, early access, live recordings.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts Jason the Bruce,
You guy!
George the Yang,
I hope you are all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people, and welcome to episode 153 of Getting Tabled with your host, the Bruce.
Hey, that'd be me. Welcome back, folks. We've got a good one this week, this fortnight.
We've got a great one. We've got Major Socks. But most importantly, Bruce, who do we have?
We have somebody that we've wanted for a very long time. Ever since we taunted him and one of his former colleagues about being the same person. We have Louis from TTCombat.
who's not Lewis? Yeah, exactly. I feel as though like I'm just going to be a letdown now. You guys have built me up so much. Like the pressure is real to perform.
No, not at all. Thank you very much for doing this. For those that are wondering, how did you keep this quiet? I mean, largely it's just because I didn't say anything. But also, this kind of all happened last minute. I was like, hey, we're doing an episode. I reached out to Louis, like, hey, we're doing an episode. Is there anything you can kind of... I realise there's some stuff you probably can't say, but is there anything you can kind of offer?
With.
And he's like, I could just come on and answer some stupid questions.
Yeah, basically I'm not sleeping anyway, so I thought, why not?
For those that don't know, he currently has a brand new Scourge Parasite in the house.
I think if I refer to it that way to my wife, she's not going to be too happy.
You might get in trouble.
Yeah, sure.
So today we are looking at a game that we have been taunting this man over for a long time. For the record, though, he agreed with us at one point.
Yeah, that's true. I did, and like, it's how I referred to it initially. And then, like, it's not a dictatorship. I get overruled quite a lot.
Well, we did kind of touch on it, but like StrikeTeam Commander and BattleZone Commander. Do you kind of want to touch on why you decided to go in a different direction with the names? Because it's actually a really sensible reason.
Well, like, so there's sort of like a jokey reason. There's sort of not a jokey reason because it kind of happens a lot. But it's to do with picking in the warehouse. And sure, we could have just given it a different code, but it's a pain in the bum when drop fleet items go out instead of drop zone items because the names are so close.
Yeah.
It's just like it saves on a bit of confusion. Like we get people buying presents for people and they buy the wrong one.
Yeah.
I
hadn't thought of that one. That's actually a really good point.
It happens in our Bromley store, and then like you extrapolate that, you think, okay, well, it probably happens in other stores too, and then it might be a store in a store abroad where they're bringing it back then without the shrink on it or whatever, and it just saves on some confusion. Like I got very easily convinced that it would save on confusion.
Yeah, no, that's completely understandable.
I'll buy that as a reason too. I'm still not happy about it because I asked the question of back when we had the Nigel, who's actually Nigel. He asked Dave that question. Are you guys going to do a drop squad? And Dave's like, no comment. So,
of all people, Dave said no comment.
We still call it the drop verse in the office. So
yeah, I mean the drop universe is. I don't know if that was a deliberate name that started or not, but it does seem to work quite well. It's certainly better than Commander Universe.
It just fits, right? Like, but then I think a lot of these things, they don't fit initially. Like for me, it's like naming my son the other day. It's like nothing fit, and you're calling them this name, and then you look at your other children. It's like, well, their names fit, but they only fit because they've been there for a while and you're used to it. So I think that like.
I've never really understood this. I saw the child and I knew that he was this. It's like, no, that's just you coming up with a reason for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like we didn't have a name, and so it was kind of like, oh, it'll just hit us when we're there. And then 3 days on, we were like, nope, still not hit. Like, really got to come up with something.
So
no, that's understandable.
Louis, I got enough. So StrikeTeam Commander and Battle Squad Commander, right? BattleZone Commander. What prompted the idea of having two different rule sets and essentially two different games, but very similar as far as like the scale and size of
So
the games?
we did a diorama for taking two shows to promote that we were going to do this larger scale game. And it's all come off the back of the exclusives that we sold absolutely loads of. And people then were constantly asking, is there a game coming? Is there a game coming? Is there a game coming? And it was like, no. Maybe, yeah. And we made this diorama and it was cool as hell. And we were like, it was all going to be interior combat. And then we did the exclusive bear and we had a 3-upped Raven on the diorama. And the feedback that we got at the show, everyone was just like, I just want vehicles. I really want vehicles. I want vehicles. There'll be vehicles, right? I want vehicles. And I was just like, oh, no.
Because that doesn't work inside.
Yeah, but basically, so then we were trying to like figure out, okay, well, how do we do this hybrid game where you have indoors and outdoors? And it just wasn't viable. It didn't work. And it was just like you sacrificed so much from one to get the other and vice versa. And we were just like, well, actually, do you know what? There's loads of systems out there, really well-known systems that support that. You have the same models but completely different games, and you can use them. And this suits, so we were just like, well, let's go with that. Yeah. And then BattleZone, it's like huge armies you can have on the tabletop, which kind of like looks a bit like blown up Dropzone. And like the rules that were there, so we initially had StrikeTeam, and BattleZone has been born from this.
Yeah.
And so BattleZone, we're like, the comments I'm seeing on Kickstarter is like, I say the comments, like it's been like 2 people, but it'll be like, where's the USP for this? And it's like, well, the fact that it's set in our really cool universe, unlike any other like game of this scale, like that's pretty unique. We're working on loads of rules like garrisoning buildings. And bringing in drop mechanics so that when you start the game, for example, like 50% of your forces on the table, but to make it feel like a drop game, you have troops that you can deploy after turn 1, after turn 2, so you can get them in the thick of the fighting.
Yeah.
And
like
it makes it, and it makes it way more tactical because, like, in these short turn limit games. You if you've got troops committed to one side of the field, it's super hard to have them have an impact late in the game on the other side. If they do a really good job and wipe out everything on their side, they're kind of stuck over there, and you're kind of like left not able to act on the other side. So we're trying to make it so that the game can have you deploy troops elsewhere and very much in bringing that drop zone feeling. But with the rules in beta, we're kind of like, we don't want to commit to saying like, this is absolutely going to be this, and then that's not there, so we're showing off that we've got like, a lot of the mechanics are down and they work, and now it's just refinement. I saw someone saying that they on good information that TTCombat only had 7 employees, and we were going to struggle to do this, but it's much closer to 100 and we'll be fine with a
which
huge
is
number
genuinely
of
more than I thought you had.
All right.
There's been a few times people, like knowing people, I won't name any names, but people that know the company well have been like, I think you'd be surprised how small the company actually is. And very clearly that is true. No.
Yeah.
But I think people have taken that to the extreme. It's like, they must be really tiny. And I mean, 100 people is very small for a company that makes MDF, miniatures, rules. Lord knows you've got to have the IT people. You've got to have a whole ton of people in that warehouse.
Yeah. There are people that are in different roles than like obviously making the games and everything else, but they play the games. And we did the drop fleet tournament recently, which a load of guys got involved with from outside of the design rooms, and now they love to help playtest, which is awesome.
Which is good.
Yeah, nice.
Getting playtesting.
Sorry, I might have rambled off then. I might have gone off piste on the question. I'm sorry.
No, you
That was
answered it very
perfectly.
nicely. Thank you.
That was. I like to do this more as a conversation as opposed to question and answer, like because it's more natural, more free flowing.
Yeah, fair.
You might slip up and tell us something you shouldn't.
No. This kind of stuff, despite my sleep deprivation, I'm
He's the one that has to tell himself off for it. So let's get to the first question, which is shockingly not actually written by us. It's not even by one of our Patreons. It's genuinely something that came from the Strike Commander question that I asked.
Sure.
Please refer to it always as Dropsquad Commander. That's more of a comment for us than a question for you, obviously. But
yeah, you have to move on from this. That's the line.
And I think this was from the same person, to be honest. And you've kind of gone through this. You've kind of just done this, which is to compare and contrast the two rule sets. I mean, the size of the force is obviously the big one that you've mentioned. It's inside versus outside.
Vehicles.
Is there going to be at some point like a hard list of like these guys are for Strike Team, these guys? I mean, vehicles is obviously for BattleZone, but there seems to be a bit of confusion in the community as to what are we going to be allowed to use or not.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, at the minute it's the core troops. However, like there's certain things that won't work. Like I say won't work. Like it depends on what we're able to do, but I can't see a hazard suit Devastator with its massive missiles being used in the inner indoor game. But then your hazard suit kit can be built a number of different ways. To be fair, I can't see you guys doing a resin kit for a BattleZone of a behemoth. So yeah.
Somewhere
like Dave was definitely talking about it the other day, and it was just like, no, Dave, stop.
Here's my
somebody
shock face
asked
on
that question, and I think it was Ben from your team that turned around and said, "Well, you could always stand on the table if you want to."
Yeah. Well, Dave, I think Dave was stood by the Avenger when he was like toying with the idea of it. And I was like, Dave, just no.
The
then I'll ask him.
Sitting in a warehouse, taking up so much room somewhere.
It's on the table, and we're always like, you know what, we're gonna dust that off, and we're gonna get it out to shows again, and it's always just on the back burner. But there'll be a day, there'll be a time.
So you largely went through that, and you've. This is a question I also had as well, which is there is a BattleZone rulebook as an add-on, but not a Strike Team one. And I think people are going to be surprised by why this is the case.
Well, I've answered it a few times on the campaign. It's just that it doesn't really work. You know, the Strike Team box comes with the components needed to play the game.
Yeah.
And if you just buy the book, you're missing that. There'll also be missions, and there's more missions that we can unlock through stretch goals. And I'm not sure yet whether those missions will be their own book, or whether they'll be part of the Strike Team rulebook. It depends on how many we unlock, really.
Because of the nature of Strike Team, like being indoors, it's clearly got it's got the grid system as opposed to tape measures. I'm hesitant to say it leans into board gaming because that's downplaying the complicity of the rules. But it probably leans more in towards that than BattleZone does because of hence why you need the full thing.
It does, and like we'll always look at it as a miniature game because we're using our miniatures. But it does feel more like a board game playing it, and because it's on a board. But and we think it'll appeal to a whole different section of the market because there are people that will look at that and they don't see it as a miniature game, and then suddenly they're open to playing it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That makes solid sense.
Yeah. Like I said, like genuinely was like. I didn't write that. It was one of the questions that came up in the questionnaire. And it's like, I was wanting to ask this anyway. Because my initial plan was I was going to back at the faction one, and I was just going to add both of the rule books on. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to get this and start there. So
like, there's always obviously the opportunity to just wait for the retail. Yeah. You know, if you're unsure, wait for retail. What we were looking to do with this Kickstarter was to see proof of demand. And because like this is something completely new to us. And while we've sold the exclusives, you can't really gauge that, because it's kind of like people just wanting something to put on their shelf or whatever else, something's nice to paint. But now we can, and we talk to people at shows, and people are nice to your face saying like, I buy this, whatever else, and then it's not necessarily going to be the case, but like we can see that there's definite demand for these games, and we know that we can invest more time into producing them and refining them, and we won't. So when we do Kickstarters, there's a trend at the minute of doing Kickstarters just as a pre-order system. And that's not how we see a Kickstarter. We don't go to Kickstarter with a final product. This isn't a finished article. We're not coming. If we were going to do that, we'd just release it like we did with Drop Fleet 2. Just the second edition. Like we are coming to see if people want this, and and what amount of resources we should dedicate to it. And we were like, if we get funded, then we're keen. And we were funded in 4 hours. We've got a commitment from people, a demand, and now what we'll do is we'll make the best 2 games that we can. They might change a bit from what we're showing on the Kickstarter. They almost definitely will change a bit from what we're showing on the Kickstarter, but we won't.
That's the business,
Yeah, exactly. Like we want people's involvement. One of the best assets that we get from this campaign is the amount of people we have to sound off against. In the comments afterwards, because we're pretty heavy on the updates with our campaigns. Like once we finish, I think it's like normally once every week, if not every 2 weeks, we are asking questions and so on. And it's invaluable for us to have that feedback from people who are like want the game. Not just from someone on Facebook that isn't going to buy your game or whatever else and just wants to throw their 2 cents in. That isn't actually worth anything to you. It's not valid.
Yeah. Also, a little quick side note, Louis. We have Shay, one of our Patreons in the channel, listening to this as well, and he actually has the distinction of being the first backer for this Kickstarter for you.
Oh, amazing! Thanks so much. I don't know if you can talk or what, but Shay, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Our Patreons have the chance of listening, but it prevents issues when we're recording being interrupted and stuff, I guess.
Yeah, no worries. I really appreciate it, Shay. Thank you.
We've all been taunting long enough that we should all be there supporting, right? Square grid. The actual mat that comes in them, like they're described as a deluxe mat because they're 2-sided and stuff. Is it? I believe that they're still the paper ones, or are they more of a board game material?
Yeah. There's the paper mats like we use in Cityscape and RuneScape.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're not like cheap mats that just. I don't know when you say it like when I've seen it, it's like written as just the paper mats, and it's like, what do you mean? It's not just the paper mats. Like,
why do you think I didn't word it that way?
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. But we've been selling them for years as part of Cityscape and RuneScape. I think those are both just single-sided. This one is a double-sided one.
Yep.
And never had complaints, and we've sold tens of thousands of units. So
yeah. I mean, it's a really good budget option, and also, to be fair, it's one that is very easy to ship, which from a business point of view is something you have to.
I was going to say shipping is like super easy, a flat mailer and a label and off it goes. Not, I got a Kickstarter with a neoprene mat and the thing was folded. It's still got creases in it. Like, why? So.
Yeah.
And if you ship it in a tube, it's huge. And it costs.
It's also super easy to store though, and take to your friend's house to play games, or take to your gaming club and everything else. Like the rolled up mats are an absolute pig sometimes. Like if you've got it at home and it's on your table and you're inviting friends around and everything else, brilliant. We do ours with a carry bag, which makes it slightly easier.
Yeah.
But it's just like things like storage in the warehouse. I think our warehouse is, I want to say 35,000 square feet, and we are constantly out of room.
Yep.
So yeah, like it makes a lot of sense for us to have this as a product, to have the product this way. But also it's the value as well. It's just like, we having these mats, they're affordable to put in the boxes, and it doesn't raise the price of your starter box to a point where it's no longer a starter box. It's a huge investment. Then it's not something you can dabble with. Yeah. And the BattleZone Commander box, with the quantity of miniatures in it, the mat You know, it's something you can play straight out of the box. So is the StrikeTeam, but like, you know, the amount of miniatures we can put in, it's only possible because we're not putting in attempting to fit in a 4 foot by 4 foot neoprene mat or something like that. You know, it just wouldn't be viable.
Yeah, which I also have to give you a compliment on as someone who's throwing a lot of money at Kickstarters. The price just for, like, you know, what you're doing, like, you know, 65 pounds, about $85 for either one of the starter boxes, like super reasonable and affordable as far as what we've come to expect and see in this, you know, hobby, so to speak.
Yeah, we compared the prices of the boxes to other stuff on the market, and like we were really confident going with these prices. But then I have seen the odd comment that's kind of like, this price seems
I know
high.
what this comment. Oh wow, really?
Yeah,
that's not what I thought you were going to say. Because the other thing that keeps on coming up is I don't know if I should say this out loud because it's not very nice, but there's some people that have very clearly only half read things. Now, to be fair, all three of us made this assumption initially, but then we read and realised...
If this is the cover, is this the cover?
No, this is... No, models. This is the single pose models versus the full-on fully... Because the BattleZone ones are push fit. They're made to be more affordable, and that's why you get more in the box at the same price.
Yeah.
But people seem to have only half read the fact that they're push fit and not actually... Because that's still being asked now, right? Constantly.
Yeah, and it's like, just think about the difference between like Indomitus, Assault Marines, Assault Intercessors, and the Intercessor box set, Assault Intercessor box set. You know, you get in Indomitus, you get Assault Intercessors, 10 of them, but they're posed one way.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have the option to put hammers on them or anything like that. Whereas if you buy the Assault Intercessor box, you get a ton of options.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get less for your money, but you get a ton of options, and that's what we're doing here. You won't get options in that BattleZone 2 player, but you get a lot of miniatures.
Yes. Which is the benefit of it. So hopefully people can finally stop asking.
So we've got a lot of flack from people saying, why is it just a cover? Why is it just a exclusive cover? Why is there no rulebook? And like, I get it the way it's worded, but we assumed that would be a given.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have been cheated by the old Xbox box, you know, on eBay, where they buy an Xbox and just the box turns up.
Right.
Yeah.
We are not that company. Like, you know, like,
I guess I could see where that comes from. Yeah. I mean, the whole cover thing. I mean, I kind of thought it was fairly obvious that it was a cover for the rulebook. I mean, it would have either been two things, right? It was either an exclusive cover for the rulebook, which is a fairly common thing to offer, or it's a exclusive cover to the box, which would seem like a silly thing to offer because generally people don't keep their boxes. Yeah. But it's very clearly the rulebook.
But just if anyone listening now is confused about it, it's a Kickstarter exclusive cover on the rulebook, and it looks awesome.
Hardcover or softcover, or does that depend on stretch goals?
It's softcover. Again, it comes down to shipping.
Yeah.
Hardcover rulebooks, they take the price up by so much, and the other thing is that for every like extra 20p that goes into the base price of the product, you have to add. Okay, this is just a number for number's sake. You have to add £5 onto the end price, because you have to think about how that 20p, that your end price has to be set at a limit where you can sell to retailers, but you can also sell to distributors.
Yep.
And so, like, you know, you need to have all those margins built in, and the smallest increase in your base product actually has quite a large increase on your retail price.
Sure.
It's also something you've got to also keep in mind of what's going to fit on the shelf properly.
Yeah.
Which is a problem that a lot of Kickstarters end up facing, which is that their board game is too big and too chunky, and nobody wants it on the shelf because it is too big.
Yeah. Well, like, we made the error with Carnivale. We had 1 foot by 1 foot tiles in the box, and it just made the box huge. And so shipping it for the longest time was just cost tons of money. And it's a shame because it eats into the profit for us when shipping it, but it also eats into the profit for our retailers when they ship it out.
And here's Louis giving me the explanation of my biggest criticism of the new version of the tile boxes. Because the change in size of those was the thing that's like, well, they're not going to be cross-compatible with your old ones now, I'm sorry. And I had no way of knowing the reason for the change, obviously.
Sure.
But that makes sense, because it's a really awkward size to ship, and yeah, so you've done it in a way that's easier for you to pack and sell, and because they fold down into what is essentially a fairly normal size package.
Yeah, and again, it's also our retailers feed back to us and say, "I hate shipping your boxes. Like it's a pig because like I just lost all my profit on this because it was too big or whatever else." And it's kind of like, okay, well, we'll do it right. And you know, I'm really happy with the boxes and size of products for Dropfleet. It's been great, really nice. We haven't run into issues there of the same ilk.
The fact that it's like a fairly standard size and you can just swap and change, like you've got one box that you can swap and change everything through's got to help.
Yeah.
Where are we? Difference between the rules we've stated. Oh, this isn't a question on the list, but I think it's probably worth saying this out loud. The push fit miniatures are only in the BattleZone box. Everything else is as you would expect.
Yeah, everything is like the core troop bundles. They are not push fit. They are the models from the core troop boxes. However, it's getting more of them in one box, so you get some extra value.
Yeah. I kind of like how straightforward this next one is. Yeah, you go, George.
Oh, I don't know where you're at. I'm still trying to figure out where we're at. We're on the list. So I was.
Well, there's a couple of questions here that's largely asking the same question. We're up to this one where it's like, how do you get all of the stretch goals? Which is a fairly obvious answer, I think. But
yeah, they're going into certain pledge levels or certain items on the Kickstarter, but we're making them all available as add-ons. So if you wanted to purchase them, you can. As far as I remember, they all go into the big pledge. Because they're in the items that are in the big pledge.
I mean, it's not linked, so you would expect it to. But yeah. Because the question is worded, it's like, is the $800 pledge the only way of getting everything? And it's like, well, that's not what it says.
No, you can purchase them as add-ons.
We're getting to that, Shay. So I have a little follow-up question on all the stretch goals. So my situation right now is it's pretty messy and ugly. I'm currently a 1 pound backer. Is that going to allow me to get access to the Pledge Manager when you open it to get what I want?
We haven't currently decided yet whether we're going to do that because typically what we've seen on other campaigns is that we get a huge number of one pound backers that then up in the backer kit, and it doesn't help break down stretch goals for the other people on the campaign and all that kind of stuff. Right. And we want to encourage people to be part of the campaign, fund the project. So yeah, like at the minute, no, but we might. Yeah, we've got 12 days to kind of like decide whether we want to open that up. Like,
you know, like I said, it's just a situation. I mean, I'm sure there's others that are in a similar situation. So it's just, you know,
real
I
life
have to
happens.
ask, you know, yeah. Because, you know, at some point, you know, I have to have the Shaltari on the table because that's what I do.
Because he's a dirty, filthy person that likes dirty, filthy miniatures.
All of this will come to retail.
Well, yeah, I'll find some way to exploit the rules, and then, you know, people get mad at me and not want to play.
They don't just get mad at you; they get mad at all Shaltari players. All of those balances that you've had to do, ultimately all spoiled down to George deliberately breaking everything.
I'll put a block on his email. Save us tons of work.
That's fair. I'll just make a new one.
Savage.
Named personalities. Are they only for one game or only the other?
So the ones at the bottom of the campaign they're pilots, and they will. So they're not currently playable in BattleZone and StrikeTeam, but they're probably used as objectives in missions.
Yep.
Like one thing that we do a lot of is uploading extra stuff to our website. So, you know, we can always put, like if we release an exclusive model or something like that, it normally has like some sort of mission based around it or something like that, which that was our plan for those. However, the famous commanders are kind of like special characters for BattleZone and one-man army kind of thing, you know, like they should do a lot of damage on the battlefield. They're going to be a lot of points, but they'll do a lot.
Probably
but
too powerful to be inside StrikeTeam themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would take up too much of your force list.
Which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have friends and you're playing a friendly game, do what you want, I guess. But that's not what it's really designed for.
StrikeTeam is much more about like your actions and your equipment and things like that. Like the type of grenade you throw into a room, and if you bust a door down or if you bomb a door and all that kind of stuff. So it's the generic troops are more.
Strike Zone's more focused on what the 4-man squad can do, instead of what kind of 4-man squad you can bring.
Yeah.
We have answered the playmats thing. We've already
most items will be
the style of miniatures. So that puts us down to, will this be available in store? You've answered that as well.
No, we've done well. Fine, guys. Well done, team.
Well, I'm also answering, because for those that don't know, we don't like to surprise our guests. We like to at least give them an idea of roughly what it is that they're facing. As much as a lot of this was very last minute, I don't want to kind of catch Louis off guard and it's like, really didn't like those guys.
And
don't want
anything
anything
to
do with them.
Be something that he doesn't or can't want to answer at the time. So,
yeah.
Um.
Will the core add-ons? I presume they are. No, never mind. We answered that. So, I can see hazard suits being useful in BattleZone, but will they be in Strike Zone? No, we've answered that. Aha! Battle Bus. Here we go, Shay. Battle Bus.
Hazard suits will be. It's just like the Devastator, but a variety. Because a lot of things build different variants from the box. So for retailers, they only have to stock one box to have 4 units in stock, kind of thing, which is awesome. Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
She's wanting a battle bus.
There was a battle bus teased at some point, right?
I can't remember. I don't remember there being a battle bus teased, but like basically everything is on the table.
Yeah.
We have so much to take from the Dropverse to put into these games. It's especially into BattleZone. We've got all the. It's opened up for us to do all the infantry for the bioficers. And we've been finding gaps in the armies, like for example the Shaltari, where it's become a more infantry-based thing. We're kind of like, we don't have something that does this role, and hence the scout suits being designed.
Yep.
And I love them.
They are really nice. Yes.
They're cool, right? So we've got just tons and tons and tons of stuff to release, which means that like the futures of the game aren't in doubt. A lot of games we see come to market, and they have an initial release, and then there's nothing for ages. And I know retailers have dropped games because they're kind of like, I couldn't keep my customers engaged because nothing new came out.
Yeah.
Whereas like for these games, we've already got tons and tons of design work done. We just we upscale them. We make Dave thoroughly enjoys spending days adding more detail to things.
Tell him to stop doing that in some cases. They've got enough detail at 10 mil. We don't need more detail at 32.
Seriously, it's insane that they look as good as they do, being blown up like that.
Yeah.
I know, right? But then Dave, being Dave, every single one of these vehicles will get extra detailing. So far, he's only done it on the Bear and the Saber, and people have been noticing like little bits on the Saber that they love. We got some flack from somebody that was kind of like, "Oh, what the hell? Like, this needs extra detailing at this scale." And we're like, "We know this is just a playtesting piece. We just printed this out because it looks cool, and we wanted to be able to put this. We were playtesting with a cardboard box, and we wanted to playtest with this instead." But yeah, like they will all see their day.
My main concern is taking the Shaltari and just adding way too much and dots everywhere.
Hey, look, George, those dots are going to be big. You'll have no excuse not to paint them now.
Yeah, but he'll be able to put dots in between the dots at that scale.
every painter that we use, like whether we outsource or we use the in-house painters to do the paint jobs for Sheltari products, everyone, like, it's the last thing on their list they want to do. Everyone's like, oh, is there anything new coming for Resistance? Because I'd much rather be on that than on the Sheltari release. Dots.
So going back to kind of the battle bus, what size vehicles would you as the largest? I mean, you got the Sheltari walkers like the Jaguar, but you got the smaller tarantulas. What kind of size vehicles are you thinking about limiting?
So we're not going to go like light behemoth and behemoth level.
Yeah.
We want to do that for and like the Hades and stuff like that. They're just like they're for fun. Okay. But then never say never. You know, like, so I don't know. It's better. Who knows what design process will be available to us? Our production process will be available to us in the future. Like we recently started doing plastics, and we started on the drop fleet plastics 2 years ago. Yeah. Speaking of which, like to sidetrack, there are tons of new plastics coming for that too.
There was 20
awesome.
new sprues at the time we spoke originally, from memory. It might have been 25 or something. You told me a number at some point. I don't remember what it was. It was a lot.
There's more than that now, including our first plastic dreadnought. So yeah, stuff's coming.
That's an exclusive. It had been teased that you were thinking about it, but I hadn't seen you confirm that yet.
Yeah. There's one on the way. This year.
I'm going to have a second dreadnought then. What a shame.
I may wait and buy mine because I've been waiting for a while to buy some dreadnoughts, but I may have to wait out for the plastic ones. So
there's only one this year, but
hey, it's okay.
There's a lot more years.
Yes.
So the UCM get theirs this year. We'll have to wait for the others.
Well, one race is currently missing one, so I'm just going to.
That makes sense.
Okay. Yep. If you don't know who that is, you should look at the TTCombat website. So everything is potentially on the table, which means whatever your name was that was disappointed on the drill transport not being there, everything's on the table. I deleted the names off all this deliberately because I'm like, yeah, we probably don't need to know who asked the questions.
We won't do flyers. I think we're pretty adamant we're not going to do flyers because I don't like them. I don't like the idea that they would whip through and whip out again. I don't like the idea that they slowly move around the table. It just doesn't work for me.
No, I can see that.
To the gunships.
That does make me a little sad because, you know, it's not my faction, but the UCM flyers, like, they just look so good.
They're lush. They are lush.
Yeah.
We might do like the resistance helicopters and stuff. We might do those and things like that. It's just that
at least the resistance helicopters make sense, like because like helicopters like hover and stuff.
Like, I'm not okay with a fighter jet that moves 12 inches around the table. It's just no, not happening.
Well, then you have the 40k issue of like in 6 where you've got flyers that nobody can touch, and it just annoys an entire community, and that like you don't want that, I guess. Guess who asked this question? Does your team have enough stroop waffles, or do we need to fundraise for more?
We're all good. We are fine on that.
Hi, Michelle.
I do love it when he went. To be fair, I haven't seen him at shows since COVID, but there was always stroop waffles aplenty.
Yeah. How's the brewery going?
Yeah, great.
Is that the shirt? Is that yours?
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yep.
We got two. There's Good and there's Skinner's. One's real ale, one's craft beer. And I didn't know how much I like craft beer until we did a brewery, and now I've put on weight, but it's still fine. That's not.
Hey, I've discovered something in life, Louis. Life's too short to drink crappy beer. Enjoy it.
100%. 100%. And once you start delving into craft beer, going back is impossible.
Yeah. I mean, a good beer. Yeah, beer gets touted as being crap by so many people, and it's largely because they always get told to try the fairly average stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to say this because you're in the UK. Foster's is crap. Australians don't like Foster's. You're being lied to.
I haven't drunk a Foster's in a very long time.
I have a friend in Liverpool, that loves Foster's and used to love the fact that I hated it.
They make great adverts, to be fair. I really enjoy their adverts.
I really like what you wrote down for this one. Is there a chance of plastic vehicles?
Do you know what? I can't even remember what I wrote down. Was it like, if we do a big enough amount of money, then yeah, sure, why not? Like,
this is what you wrote down. I think if we get 200,000, there might be some plastic vehicles. I am certain they will be in the future of the game. Dave really, and I mean really, wants a plastic technical.
Oh, he really does. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, as much. So yeah, like I said, I choose which battles to fight with Dave, and like the detailing, I can't win that one. So Dave just wins that every time.
I mean, that's a centerpiece model for an army.
Yeah. But like, honestly, the technical thing, Dave so wants this plastic sprue of technicals, and you know, so you just want to give it to him regardless. The way that he talks about it, and when Dave starts talking about something, he's very convincing. You know, because just the amount of passion he has for it, he's just kind of like, yeah, okay, I want to, yeah, sure.
He's also really charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if somebody's going to convince you of something, it's Dave.
Yeah, absolutely.
We asked about that. Conversion rate. So we had about just over 3,000 people following the campaign. We currently have, I think it's around 400 that are backing it now, because I think it's gone
389 backers right now.
That's
happy with the conversion rate so far? I mean, obviously not everybody's going to back it in the first, 5 days now.
Yeah, no, so typically we see a conversion rate on our campaigns. I think it's like 4% in the first week or so. Because we don't throw everything up front. Do you know what I mean? Like, we like to see like what people are saying and so on, and then have reserves so we can be like, okay, well, this is what people want. And
like, you've already had to shift, because you shift the unlocks. Day 2, because people were like, why is everything only for one game?
Yeah, and we were like, hey, we hear you. Like, so this is what we're going to do instead. And we have different plans from start as to what we're going to do. If this happens, then this will be this, and so on. But we have some cool new stuff to bring to the campaign on Monday. At the end of the campaign, 3 days out, I think it is, all of those followers will get an email saying, hey, come back and check, see what we've done. And inevitably at that point, some goals have unlocked, all this kind of stuff. There's more value in the boxes. There'll be more the details that we've missed that people are asking about. We'll get that added to the campaign this week. Nothing's going to be perfect from the get-go, and we, like I said, I love that it's a sounding board for people to say, hey, we want to see this. I'm like, okay, so sorry, we should have shown you that, and whatever. We didn't want the front of the campaign to be too clunky, because it was already a huge amount of scrolls to get from top to bottom.
Yes.
So we were trying to do it through updates, and we've got an awful lot of updates to do. We've got lots of information to fit into the updates. The couple we've done about the biofighters have been really cool.
The biofighter hand description is just so insanely creepy. It's
neat, right?
So good.
Yeah. I love the art we've got.
I keep on saying biofighters wrong.
Biofighters.
Yeah, I know, but I keep on wording it wrong. I think I was saying biosophers or something to begin with, and Michelle told me off for it. Do you want to talk a little bit about what inspired them? Was that a Dave idea, or was that one that you guys had come up with? Or
no, that's a Dave idea. 100% Dave idea. They started out as something a little bit different, but then Dave's always wanted this like nasty race, nasty. There's nothing. Like, just want to cause pain, whatever.
Have you checked on Dave to see if he's okay then?
I mean, to be fair, he hasn't been allowed out of the dungeon for 7 years at this point.
Exactly. I mean, if he wants, he's very well behaved when he comes out, because he knows that he's on borrowed time. We'll send him straight back down again if he steps out of line. But no, it's all Dave. It comes pouring out of Dave. The guys will then discuss it with him and give him a sounding board, which is awesome, because like lots of stuff changes afterwards. But it's not just one person, because one person just dictating a thing, like, it's that no one's telling them that's rubbish. or that part of that's rubbish.
Especially if they're the owner of the company.
Yeah, right. And so, like, yeah, so he just there was no one saying like, oh, I think you should change that. I think you should do this, and he gets that now. And I know he enjoys working that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's not having people being willing to say that something doesn't work doesn't help.
Exactly.
As someone that's trying to develop something of their own at the moment, I can get that. I actually do have people that'll turn around to me and go, that doesn't work. And I really, really love it when it happens. So
yeah.
So I got to ask you this then, Louis. Of the 6 factions that we have now for the Drop universe, do you have a favorite?
So yeah, the problem is that at the minute it's the Biofighters, because I've seen all the like neat infantry stuff and like how horrendous it looks, and I love it. Like, and it's because every day I come, like, although I say this, like 3 weeks ago it was the Sheltari, because I came in this full scout suits. I was like, oh my god, they're cool. Oh wow, yeah. Like, and then like I say, I leave, come back again, and there's a new Biofighter creature, and it's like, I've seen the Biofighters that have been developed for Dropzone. And so there's like a whole load more of them, and like right now that it's just the rule of what's new is cool and so on, isn't it? Like I'm so easily baited by this stuff.
Yeah, it's always the shiny syndrome. It's kind of nice when you get to see that developers have this issue as well. Because
I'd say that the one that actually Sheltari are the ones that wind me up the most, because the amount of people that whinge to me about the dots. Like I'm just kind of like, I get it. I'm sorry, it's Dave. I can't do anything about it. Like it's not me.
It's also quite literally a part of their design aesthetic. It's not really something you can remove at this point. It's who they are.
Yeah. I think we need to come up with some sort of stencil for painting them though, because
the Drop Fleet Dreadnought is absolutely ridiculous and maddening to look at.
I'm sorry.
It's a great looking shit. I've got mine airbrushed and it looks gorgeous, but it's just like I don't want to. I'm already getting old. My eyes are already falling apart. I don't want to go through and do those dots.
We keep on telling him that it's not painted until he's finished the dots. I did manage to get Dave to tell him to do it on video at one point.
Yeah. So when I first got my fleet, I got it painted. It looked good on the table, and then the guy I was playing with, he picked up and looked at it. He's like, "You didn't do the dots on the bottom." Like, you can't see them. So put it back down. You can't see them. See, now it's complete again.
Oh dear. Going down. So as far as what was written, the only thing that's left is the trolling question that I'm going to leave for the moment, because I know what you want to do with that question. Again, we didn't write that question. One of our Patreons did. That reads like something I would have done. Like there's something very similar I've said during an episode where, because I think it was Ben kept on joking that every time we said Dropsquad Commander, it got delayed by a month. And he had this tally on one of the whiteboards at work at one point of every time that we'd said it. And he was missing like 20 of them. So I turned around to that and I think I said Dropsquad like 20 times in one sentence just to troll him.
Yeah, there was one episode we specifically just really went to town on that. So, obviously, since this is not your company's first Kickstarter, are they getting easier? Have you learned? Obviously, you've learned from previous ones of what does and doesn't work, but are they getting easier of what you need to plan for in advance before you have the product that's ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, like we're a far more efficient company than we used to be. Do you know what I mean? And we have a lot more people, and it makes it so much easier just having people. But so when like it comes to shipping the product or it comes to arranging certain things, we've also dealt with a lot more companies now. We know which ones we can rely on to get this to us in time and everything else. We've got like far more options, and it's like super healthy. So yeah, like it's gotten easier. I mean, like Half Tilt was one of the most recent ones we did, and I think we shipped that out before the date that we'd projected.
Nice. Which is not the first time you've done that either.
No, we did. I think we did
one of the army ones. I think it's the one where I got the cockerel from.
Right, cool. The Halflings and Fantasy Friends.
The original
that
one was shipped early too, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that.
No, I think it was. And like Chroma is already starting to go out the door.
Yeah.
Which is the the retro colored terrain that we did recently. So yeah, everything. Touch wood, it's gone to plan. And yeah, we've got. The other thing is we've got backups. Do you know what I mean? Like if something goes wrong, we tend to have another option.
Yeah,
which is great.
And the Chroma it's a resin printing.
It's got like a resin in the ink. So
yeah.
I think Dave showed on one of the videos where he's like scratching away at the thing.
That's how I picked up on
it. What was brilliant is he calls it bulletproof right as he punches off one of the parts that's glued on.
Yeah,
I completely missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the little roof vents or something like that.
Yeah, which is great. But like the color itself is great. The guys are working out now for the terrain that's on the Kickstarter, how to make it like concertina within each other, so that you can build it and it's going to be easier to store.
Nice.
This
is
another
the StrikeTeam one, or you mean like the BattleZone stuff? Yep.
Yeah, so this is another thing. That question got asked on the Kickstarter, and we were like, "Yeah, we should absolutely do that." I don't know why we didn't think about that, And so yeah, we've started designing it because the footprint of the buildings isn't like it doesn't have to be exactsies. So being able to do them so they're just slightly smaller and fit into each other is awesome.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of the Chroma, can we get some pictures of the StrikeTeam board at some point? Or is that not finished?
It's got a lot of work yet left to be done.
Yep.
But there's panels that are done. It's just that the way that we've laid it out on the sheets to be the best for printing.
Yep.
Means that there's not like a whole single room that's done. Each thing's got parts from different bits and whatever. And so
that makes sense.
Yeah, we should be able to put something together. But it looks cool. The bits that I've seen are cool.
I'm really looking forward because this has been the site that I've wanted to see for 6 or 7 years at this point. Is the inside of the building built up with the army, and it's just like this has been the dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. One last thing before I get to the trolling question, and I'm going to bring up a picture of the website so that I can do this.
And it's 11 p.m. and my 5-year-old and 7-year-old are.
That's all right. I've got two things. This one's really simple.
Cool.
TTCombat have, I think, maybe the most varied range of games available on the market right now. Carnivale and Dropzone already are so insanely different, it's not even funny. Let's not... Relics is another one of the ones that you've picked up. Again, it's puppets that are fighting. It's so weird. Well, it's not just puppets.
Yeah.
You touched on Half Tilt. Rumble Slam is your baby. That's where it all starts.
We got Home Raiders too.
Home Raiders is another one I'm excited for. I want that to come back sometime soon. Do you think having the varied range helps when it comes to things like motivation and burnout and stuff, or does it make it more complicated?
I think it's awesome. Don't get me wrong, like having these two new games set in the same verse is amazing because you write one piece of fluff and it's relevant to all of them, which is wicked. Yeah, like I can't pick a favorite amongst them. It's like choosing between your babies. It's like
Which child is your favorite?
Sorry?
Which child is your favorite kind of thing?
Exactly. I just every single one of them's got something about it that we absolutely adore, and
I mean, it's the new one, right? It has to be the new one because it's the cutest.
Yeah.
Of course, that's also the one that makes the most mess, so you don't win either way.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I'm going to read Owen's question. Does the StrikeTeam only operate in a drop zone? Might one call it a drop squad? Else it would just be another part of BattleZone.
So I was just going to say I'm leaving a mic drop, but before I do, thanks very much, guys. It's been a total pleasure.
Louis, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have genuinely wanted this for a long time. We appreciate it.
No worries. I love that you guys love our games, and thank you very much. Take it easy.
Get
Go
some
get
rest,
some
man.
sleep.
See you later.
So there we go. That was our interview with Louis. We clearly very excited to have him on. Like, this is like, that wasn't just hyperbole. Like, we have genuinely wanted that for years. And for the record, and I'm going to ask Socks this, because George is someone that would probably fib to make me look good, where Socks will just say it the way that it is. Did I suggest Strike Zone before or after Louis said that he'd come on? As in talking about it in the actual names.
I
can't remember.
It was at least 3 days before he offered, yeah. I'm just pointing that out because we weren't just talking about Strike Zone, BattleZone, just to make him happy. And Louis has joined in with us a couple of times, by just joking with me through Messenger about it as well. Hence why I kind of hinted at the fact that he agreed with us that it's a better name.
I do remember you mentioning that. Louis is just like, I do like Drop Squad better, but the whole reasoning of
makes
something to differentiate, it does make a lot of sense because even Warhammer Sigmar, Warhammer 40K, like, that's still, for someone who doesn't know and understand, that's still confusing. Then you do Drop Zone and Drop Squad, where everything's the same, just different scales and where it takes place. Throw in another option.
Shay wants plastic technicals, apparently.
Yeah, he does. And it's StrikeTeam, not Strike Zone.
Yeah, it's George kept on getting the two names confused during that. I noticed that a few times.
Yeah, whatever.
Look, George is a Marine. We're lucky that he can make sentences to begin with.
Exactly.
All right.
But yeah, it was super great that we were able to get Louis on finally. I'd have to give it a toss-up between him and Mel as far as, my favorites, just because Mel's such a figure in the hobby, and, Louis has done so much as far as, like, for the games we like, as far as, like, pushing them and, making sure that, Dave is kept in line so he can do his work.
Trim, glue, prime, paint.
Have you been up to anything, Socks?
Other than gaming in classes all day, every day for the last 2 weeks? No. By the time I got home, I'm just drained from hex-style, cardboard chit combat. It's those
Fair
old
enough.
1970s hex grid with the little square cardboard with tanks and infantry and aircraft. That's what we've been doing in my classes the last 2 weeks. So,
okay.
No, I hope to do so, but I have Company of Heroes on the board back there behind me because I should be getting a second edition within the next few weeks, maybe a couple months.
Nice.
So,
what about yourself, George? What have you been up to?
Not a whole lot. I did a little traveling last weekend for my company's holiday party, and we picked up a Foster. So I've not had a lot of time for much of anything.
Okay. No, fair enough. I have been working on Entropy City. I actually did a playtesting of Entropy City on Friday night. First playtesting I've done for a few months. Largely because, and I touched on this in the podcast, I actually lost an essential piece of the game. I managed to re-find it.
Movement templates?
Yeah. For the record, they were back there somewhere. I don't remember exactly where they were, but I found them in a pile at the foot of my bed somewhere.
The last place you looked.
True. Though that would have been true anyway. So yeah, that's largely what I've been up to. Oh, and what's this about Strike Squad? The other thing that if you guys go to the Entropy City channel, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. I've been trying to work on, using my prototypes, I've been trying to work on like a design for the actual cards that I would eventually have. I'm not saying this is final by any means. I'm going to do my best to try and show this off on the screen, but we'll have to see how it goes. So I've tried to do it in a way, like, it's supposed to feel very graffiti-ish, because Entropy City is supposed to be a bit of, I'm trying to keep the theme alive, right? So there's 4 examples I've given. These stats are actually stats from characters. The names are copy-paste. They are actually names that will exist at some point, but I've tried to keep them so that they are themed towards each group. So we've got the Komodo one there, which is the sports rider with a sword. We have a Mutiny one. Mutiny is still the faction that needs, like, the logo still needs the most work. I do definitely think there's something there with the Black Rose, just because of its punk aesthetics and stuff. Because it's kind of like, roses are pretty and stuff, but there's also hidden meanings behind the Black Rose, with, like, death and stuff. So, I thought it felt very appropriate for, like, an anarchist cult, but that particular design I don't like. And then, of course, we have the RFPD, which is the police, which ironically is using a miniature that I'm currently using for the Komodo, because that's the one that felt the most police-like.
So, because you didn't carry it through on all of them, your Hades card with Damien Khan.
Yeah.
I love the street lines.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what I thought of them, actually.
I like them.
I like it because it's a natural divider between the wounds and the stress field.
Yep.
But then it also works because it is black with the yellow stripes, like you would see on a road, which it all ties together. It's like a graphic design that has purpose and meaning.
I would like to, like, in a final version of this, I would like to have a tire tread going across the lighter grey bit underneath the stats. That would be aesthetically something I would like.
The one thing, you know, and this could also be used to identify, like, a special character or a unit type, is, since, you know, there's different types of road stripes. So you could have, like, the solid with the dashed yellow. You could have the solid white, a white with the dash and stuff. You know, like, the different types of passing, where it's like, you know, Damien is like a named character, so he's got the double yellow. Then, like, a sergeant would be like a yellow with, like, you know, this lane can pass kind of thing. A basic troop would be like, you know, just a dashed white line. Something would be like a white line with the dash for, like, you know, when you can pass and stuff like that. Like that, I think that could be like a little, you know, unit identifier / you know, also purposeful, you know. That's just me looking at it, giving a quick critique of that. So
yeah, no, that's fair. Whether they would remain white, yellow, or whether they'd end up going white would probably come down to what would come out best from a printing point of view. Because different parts of the world, like, we don't have yellow lines. So I think there's like maybe 1 or 2 highways in the country that still have them. But yellow lines on the road isn't a thing here. They're all white. I don't know why, but, like, for some reason it seems to be an old thing that doesn't happen anymore. Maybe because they used a toxic chemical.
Shay just made the most savage comment.
Okay.
BMW drivers wouldn't be able to play this game then.
If your base rules are reading road rules. It's savage, but it's true. I mean, we all know that, like, if you want to buy a BMW, you're required to pass a course on how little you know about the law, right? Like, that's just a fact of life. You're not allowed to know how to drive properly and own a BMW at the same time. The same thing happens for Mercedes and Lexus.
Do you know what I've been looking at, Bruce?
A Mercedes?
No, a BMW M4.
Why are you changing to a sedan?
Huh?
Isn't an M4 a sedan?
No, it'd be a coupe. I have a sedan.
Oh, I thought you had a pickup truck.
Yes, I have that too.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. So yeah, that's what I've largely been working on. I've been trying to, like, at this stage, it's the actual graffiti is different on all of them. That would probably become like a standard template at the end of the day. because I did these by hand. But otherwise, I'm kind of really happy with it. Color choices probably need to be changed a little bit, maybe. Like I said, the Mutiny one is probably the one I'm least happy with at this stage. But
I think they look good because they're all distinct enough from each other. As you know, let's just take the Drop universe for example, right? The Scourge purple, UCM green, PHR white, Shaltari orange, they're all a distinct, unique color that makes them readily and easily identifiable. That's what you've got going here.
That's what I'm trying.
Frankly, your Mutiny with the Black Rose logo in us, I like that color. I think that looks great.
Okay.
So
the Black Rose, I genuinely think there's something there with the Black Rose. I would need to get, because that's just a stolen image of a rose that I've colored black. So it would need to have more work, and I'd probably want to have more thorns on the final design, perhaps. But that's why I will eventually pay artists. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. Playtesting wise, there's been quite some significant changes since the last time I did it. Individual characters, if I bring that back up again very briefly, individual characters will actually have that there's a strength value which is used to try and get your bike back up once you've crashed. Different characters have different strength values. Dodge is fairly straightforward. You're trying to dodge an attack. That's just something you can choose to add onto the roll if you need it. And protection is part of a wound save, which up until this point has never existed in the game. So if a wound does go through, you do have a chance of actually making the save. And ultimately, at this stage, I just have base values for all of the groups, but they would eventually become like, on average, Haiti has more strength. On average, the sports bike guys are better at dodging, and probably have a little bit more protection. The police are quite genuinely going to be fairly straight down the middle of average stats.
Your UCM.
Yeah, but the police are also probably going to be a little bit more elite ultimately. Like that, it's more going to be about the gear they have than anything else. That's the picture in my mind anyway. I've also created some actual official playtesting lists, which is something I've been asked about a couple of times. It's like, if I wanted to try this out, what do I need to build? And my answer's also kind of been, well, this is what I'm currently using, but I haven't playtested the other things, so it's kind of hard to say. And I kind of sat down and I'm like, I just need to write, like, it's 5 bikes, they have these weapons, done. Oh, that was really hard. I don't know why I struggled with that for so long.
Tournaments, demos, conventions, that kind of stuff.
And this would be the point where Michelle goes, finally, that was in the news. Why didn't you discuss it in the news? We didn't have news today, Michelle. I just put it there because it was obvious. I am starting with the StrikeTeam and BattleZone Commander Community Painting Competition. This was announced last night. We've actually known about this for about 2 weeks, I want to say. Maybe a week and a half. So this has been started today to celebrate the launch of the campaign. You paint up, you pick a single 32mm miniature. So this is based on I keep on calling them the tease miniatures that they were selling as event exclusives.
The prequels.
Yes.
Yeah.
So pick a miniature, get a picture of it before you start painting it, and then start painting. First place is a 3-up bear and a TTCombat, a TT starter paint set. Second place is the 32mm Scourge. There's an unboxing on the channel. You should check that out. And a starter paint set. And third place is the starter paint set. I haven't used their paints at this stage, but I have heard nothing but very good feedback on them. And I'm not talking about people that's connected to TTCombat. I mean genuinely from the community. So they have extended the competition to continue past Adepticon, because there are people that want to enter this that don't own the miniatures, and that's their next opportunity to actually
get them,
to actually buy them. So this says that you have up until Monday the 21st of April. There is a chance that that date may be the old one. I would have to double check. They expect you to use the following hashtags on your socials. So hashtag TTCombat, hashtag StrikeTeam, hashtag BattleZone, hashtag Dropzone, hashtag Dropfleet, hashtag Commander Universe.
Where's the Drop Squad one?
I know, right?
Or the Drop First.
So look up Michelle's original post within the StrikeTeam Commander community. If you're not a member of that, there's actually a link to it at the bottom of the Kickstarter campaign. We will also have a link in the description of this episode. March Malifaux is happening on the 16th of March at the Gaming Arena. That's in Coburg. Danger Close 4 is on the 22nd of March. That is a Drop Zone Commander tournament. For some reason, I haven't written that down. So it's definitely the updated date. Adepticon is on the 26th to the 30th of March in the Baird Center in Milwaukee. Yes, it's in Milwaukee, not Chicago. Don't try to go to Chicago to the event. There's a reminder here that Michelle has put so that you can buy your promos. Salute is on the 12th of April at the London Excel. Another chance for you to buy your promos. Can you tell Michelle's been editing this? And ArcFest is coming up. ArcFest is coming up on the 3rd and 4th of May at the Sandown Racecourse, featuring 40k, Age of Sigmar, Middle-earth, Old World, Infinity, Star Wars Shatterpoint, and the Arc Open Painting Competition. And then finally, Port Play is a brand new tabletop event that's starting. This will be on the 3rd and 4th of May as well, which is interesting. I don't know if they've... This is more of a general tabletop board games type event, so it doesn't really have a lot of crossover. ArcFest is a tournament scene. This is not, so you should be fine. That's taking place at the St Kilda Town Hall. Brand new event, so try and get along to support it if you're in the area. I might try to get to that. I don't know if I can yet, because I don't know what I'm doing in May, but in theory it's really close by, so there's no reason why I shouldn't. Tell people about Valhalla Hobby.
Valhalla Hobby is a sponsor of this episode and all episodes of Getting Tabled. They're located in Verona, Wisconsin, which is just down the road from where Adepticon is. So if you're at Adepticon, drive over to the west a little bit, and you can pop in and say, hey, if you use code TABLED at checkout on their online store, which is huge. They've got Bushido. They've got, what's that game you play, Socks?
Dystopian Wars,
Armored Clash. Just lots of selection, lots of the non-traditional big name stuff. You know, they're not a Warhammer store. They're a TTCombat store. They're a GTC Studio store. They cater to the clientele that want the smaller games that are still good but aren't as big and popular.
They do have the big stuff. It's just not their only
the big stuff. They do have the big stuff, but they also have the other stuff. Again, if you use code TABLED at checkout, you can get a 5% off your order over $100 for the first time. They support us. Please check out their website and give them an order or two. We'd greatly appreciate it.
Socks, where can people find us?
All over the place. No, you can find us at patreon.com/gettingtable. $2 a month. Become a fumbler. You get free access, or early access, not free access, early access to our recordings, and you can listen in like Shay is doing right now. Our website is gettingtable.com. You can find us at facebook.com/gettingtable, where we're the most active in any of the social medias. youtube.com/gettingtable. Please subscribe as well. And then our email is gettingtabled@gmail.com, and then Discord as well. There's an invite in the description. And then at X/Twitter, Instagram, and Blusky, it's all at Getting Tabled. And then twitch.tv/JasonTheBruce for when he's streaming, and youtube.com/ToyReel for his toy videos.
Thanks again to Louis from TTCombat. Like, this is the owner of TTCombat that has joined us today during arguably the biggest Kickstarter campaign that they've done. So we really appreciate the fact that he took time out of his schedule with a newborn, quite literally.
Yeah, and a child's birthday, all of the mix. Like,
yeah.
You know, we can't thank him enough for taking the time to show up with all that going on in his life. So thank you again, Louis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.
Dropsquad Commander forever. Dropsquad Commander forever. Long live Dropsquad Commander.
Altari will rule the universe. I didn't mess up his name once.
No, neither did I.